All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to be as consistent as I can possible. We'll try to ask or answer some of the most asked questions of me on a weekly basis. I mean, I get so many questions sent to me. And I think the best way for me to answer these is just to make a video. I think what I do is try to start a series here called The Daily Bread. That doesn't mean I'm going to come in here daily and answer questions that are sent to me. I mean, because I already have probably about a list this long. If you just put it on a sheet of paper, a list this long of questions that people send to me, loving and liking to have answers for. What I don't understand is that if many of you people, you go to what you call church, and you have what you call a pastor or elder or teachers or leaders. How is it that you don't know the answer to these questions? And why are you asking me? I mean, because I don't know you. I don't ever hear from you. I'm not a pastor to the whole entire world. I'm not. I'm only a pastor to those who receive me, to those who follow me as I follow Christ, and that's it. And I know that many of you may not like that kind of talk, but it's just a fact. It's a literal fact. That's the reason why that he is given pastors in each geographical location. And it's up to you to find the ones that will feed you with knowledge and understanding. And I know that there are many different perspectives, and I need you to listen to what I'm saying. I know that there are many different perspectives when it comes to viewpoints and giving understanding, especially from religious sources or bases. But Pastor Dowell, I'm an Israelite, so I choose to only come from this perspective, not your feelings, not your emotions. I could care less about the perspective of the religion of Christianity or Islam or Buddhism, Confucianism. I could care less about all those religions. None of them mean crap, jack, nothing to me. But I do care about what the perspective of what he has to say to us through his prophets and his apostles. And I will tell you what this says and not my own personal feeling. I don't feel like nothing when it comes to answering the truth. What I make sure I try to do continually is make sure that what I believe, and if you want to use that term feeling, whatever I feel whatever this book says, and then whatever this book says is the way it's going to be. At least that's the decision that I personally made in my life. I mean, you think about it. I mean, there's a lot of people that have what you call wisdom, but they're too old to perform the wisdom that they say that they have. Now, what kind of wisdom is that if you can't apply wisdom? Well, anyway, today's topic is going to be on the poor, because people have heard me speak about the poor when I was in Fresno, California, and as well as this is one of the questions that seems to be pressing upon people's heart. And I know the reason why, because we look at the economy that we're in today. Things don't look good. I don't care how rosy the news media or the government or anybody's trying to tell you or what the outlook of this particular economy is looking like in America. But the truth is, those of us who are feeling the bite of it, they can say whatever they want. We don't believe a word that they say, and that's just the truth. But I'm going to go ahead and deal with this subject on the poor. Now, listen to me real quick. There are two different perspectives when it comes to the poor, but I'm going to stick with the biblical perspective, and I'm going to give you a reference so you can make sure that you understand where I'm coming from when I'm speaking about perspective here, okay? Now, again, I need to say this so you can understand. I'm not going to answer according to your feelings. I'm not going to answer this according to your personal Christian training, your previous training. I'm not going to answer this according to the way you have personally believed. Because the scriptures teach that the heart is deceitful above all things and is desperately wicked. Who can know it? He does, because he's the one that tries the heart. He's the one that tries the rein. So he's the one who knows it. So I'm going to stick with what the book says, okay? Now, so listen to me very closely. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually go over here and we're going to see what Jesus, Yeshua, the Messiah, had to say himself about the poor. And with that, I'm going to ask you to open up your books, get your Bibles, so you can exercise some independent thinking and some self-autonomy. That means you can learn how to start governing yourself and believe what you read rather than what somebody keep on telling you over and over again. All right. Matthew, the 11th chapter, verse 4. Jesus answered and said unto them, go and show John again those things which you do hear and see. See, about this time, John, the baptizer, was thrown in prison, and he's about ready to get beheaded and stuff. And so he's he's at the end of his life, and he wants to make sure that he's done the things that is necessary and correct, and he has a couple of questions that has arisen in his heart. So he sent his disciples to ask the Messiah a few things. And so Jesus actually didn't even answer him according to the way that you and I would think that it's a sufficient answer. But we have to understand that there's no greater prophet that has ever lived besides John himself, because the Messiah said that himself. And so what the king is doing is reassuring him, not of what's going on things here in this world. No, you done your job, John, but listen to me very closely. So Jesus answered, said unto him, go and show John again those things which ye do see and hear. This is what he said. Listen, the blind receive their sight. The lame walk. The lepers are cleansed. And the deaf hear. The dead are raised. And the poor, subject, and the poor have the gospel preached unto them. See, most of us, we think that the poor is anybody out there in that world that is down, that is hungry, and we feel obligated. We need to do something about it. I mean, look what religion does. Religion appeases that wicked little heart once every year, or maybe twice a year on Thanksgiving, and what they call the Tammuz pagan holiday, satanic holiday called Christmas. Everybody gets a spirit in them where they want to have food banks and they want to feed the so-called poor. The so-called poor. But the perspective of the king is there's two different perspectives of what you call the poor as opposed to what the king say the poor is. The poor, according to my understanding, what the Bible speaks of, are the ones who have the gospel preached to them. Did you hear what I said? And that means if you're going to preach to anyone, if you're going to know who the poor are, go preach the gospel to them. And most people, what they want to do is just do something to appease their hearts. Give out some money. Give out what they call some canned goods and stuff. Okay, I've done my job, but you didn't preach the gospel to the poor. Because remember, we're all ministers of the Most High. All right? But the poor are the ones who have the gospel preached to them. So everybody who is poor in this world, because you're always going to have them with you, they are not what you call poor. All right? And then he says this, and blessed is he whosoever shall be not offended in me. See, now a lot of people are going to literally be offended at his words. They're going to be offended what I just got finished saying, because they're not going to like it, because they don't like this perspective. Let's go to Matthew 26, starting verse 6. Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head, and set it meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? Notice, they had indignation because they could tell that this was expensive oil. So they were upset because to them, the woman was wasting the oil. But the king says this. Listen to this. For this ointment might have been sold for so much and given to the poor. You hearing what the disciples said? They were mad, they were upset, but this ointment could have been sold and given to the poor. Let's see if they really truly cared about the poor. All right. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman, for she hath wrought a good work upon me? Listen to what the king says. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. You hear that? And if you understand the Gospels, he says, whatsoever you have done unto the least of these my brethren, you've done also unto me. Y'all hearing this now? You see, there's a different perspective when it comes from the biblical perspective as opposed to a worldly perspective as opposed to your own personal feelings. The king already knew you had the poor with you. And remember, the first scripture, the poor have the gospel preached to them, and the poor you have with you always, but you don't always have him with you. Look what he says. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Y'all hear that? And verily I say unto you, that whosoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman have done, be told for a memorial of her. We hear this message at least once, twice, three, maybe 4 times a year here straightway. You go to most places, you'll never hear what this woman done as a memorial. You know why? Because most people have a form of godliness, but they're really truly not preaching it. They're not preaching the everlasting gospel. Okay, Matthew 6 verse 19. Listen to the perspective and the understanding of the king. Listen to me. Matthew 6 verse 19. Lay up not for yourselves treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust do corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Now, there are banker thieves. There are thieves who will break into your house. There are thieves of your own family. And sometimes you're a thief yourself. That's just the truth. But there are all kinds of thieves in this world. But the understanding is you don't lay up treasures up on this earth. But what do people do? They lay up treasures here upon this earth. You know why? Because I don't know what it is about people who have a bunch of treasures or what you call a bunch of money, but they lay them up and store them up. And they're not using it for the kingdom. I mean, do you remember the rich young ruler? Do you remember him? He thought he kept the commandments, all except the one loving of the Father. And when he told him to go and sell all he had, that was it. Go and sell all that I had. And the scripture says he went away sorrowfully because he had great riches. I often say to people over and over again, anything you got you can't give up. You finally found out who your God is. Now, you may mentally put in your mind that it's not your God. But then when you got brothers and sisters who have the gospel preached to them, brothers and sisters who are living and preaching this gospel, and then you go read Acts chapter 2, you go read Acts chapter 4, and you see what the assembly or church is really truly all about. Just go read it for yourself. Just read it for yourself. Then you really truly find out where your heart is. But anyway, the king says, but lay up not for yourselves treasure, but lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. That's why, Pastor, I give away everything. I do. I give it up. But I just don't give it to anybody. I just don't give to anybody. I give to the ones who have the gospel preached to them. That's right. Because my sentiments is his kingdom. My understanding is his kingdom, his people. Because he's coming to save his people from their sins and not the whole world. I know that most of you don't like that, but that's totally irrelevant. But it's the truth, and it's the truth straight way. He has a way that he view things and see things. You have a way you view things and you see things. And more importantly, and if anything, you need to make sure that what you see and what you view, it aligns with his perspective and what he says and how he does. That is the truth. All right, let's go on. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thy eye be evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? For no man can serve two masters. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Yah and Mammon. You watch, folks. Oh, Boy, oh, man. You know, I got a video that I'm going to try to post up here a little bit later. And what it did, it showed what happened to a lot of people who had billions of dollars during this Bernie Madoff scheme. Because Bernie Madoff, he knew he was going to jail, and he just threw the whole government and everybody under the bus. But, of course, you know, the majority of the Americans are not going to hear what he's saying and stuff because they're deluded and there's a seed. Because Bernie Madoff flat out told everybody that the whole government is a Ponzi scheme. You know why? Because he was getting ready to get thrown in jail. You got the same illegal institution that is going to pass so-called justice on him. So he said, okay, hey, I'm going. I know I'm going. But I'm going to go ahead and let everybody else know. But there are billionaires who shot themselves, who cut their wrist. Because, you know, a rich person can't fathom putting a mop or a broom in their hand, much less going out and cleaning a chicken coop, or much less going out and feeding the poor, or much less giving to the poor. And I just the other day I heard on the news that there was this man that had like maybe, I don't know, $600-700 million, and he died, you know, being benevolent in his heart. He died. And he left that $600 or $700 million. He willed it to the government to do his part in death for the economy. Now, is that not crazy? Is that not unintelligent? I can tell you right now, he didn't know the Messiah. He did not know Christ, and he definitely wasn't an Israelite. Pastor Dowell is not going to leave nothing back here for this government. Nothing back here for this wicked world. Everything that Pastor Dowell do is going to be sold into the kingdom of Yah. And that is the truth. And that's the truth straightway. I hope you got to understand who the poor is. But now, you know what? Let me go one more. Let's go over to James, the 2nd chapter. Verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not Yah chosen, the poor of this world. Listen. Because the poor of this world have traits, they have attributes, they have a certain character about themselves. Hearken, my beloved brethren, have not Yah chosen the poor of this world rich in faith? There go your poor folks right there, the ones who are rich in faith. When you go to Matthew 5 and read the Beatitudes, you see all these Beatitudes. And of course, that makes a lot of people feel good, but most people do not walk after what this book says. Very few people do. But not only has Yah chosen the poor in this world rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom which he had promised to them that love him. See, the poor are rich in faith, and not only that, they are heirs to the kingdom which he has promised them. But ye have despised the poor. See, James is talking to these rich folks. Do not rich men oppress you? Then now he's talking back to the poor folks. And draw you before the judgment seats? Sure they do. Look at these oppressive laws, all made by rich people in this country, in this world. And guess who feels the oppression of it? We poor folks do. Anyway, I hope that you understood. I hope that I answered many of your questions. We'll get to the next daily bread whenever the Most High gives me opportunity to come and speak to you. You just heard the truth, and that's the truth straightway. The poor are the ones who are rich in faith. The poor are the ones who have the gospel preached to them. And that is the truth. And that's the truth straightway. Be encouraged. King coming.